So, we are back at it again, ladies and gentlemen. It's about 9:30. We've already done we've done the washing up. We've put a load in for the washing machine because it's nice and sunny outside and it's going to dry super nice. We've got all the windows open. It's going to be nice and cool in here. I've just done a load of planning and I've figured out what the next thing I need to do is. I know how I'm going to build out this microservice, and I think technically the way that I build the next microservice is somewhat, which is what I was worrying about yesterday. I was worrying about making sure that I had enough data to do what I needed to do in the next microservice. I feel like I'm going to have that. I feel like if I needed more, I can add more, and if I need less, then I just take it away. It's not like I'm going to end up building out an entire thing and then it not working. I can't see that happening. Touch wood. Let's remember this video in a month's time when this bites me in the air. So today I'm going to race through creating basic pipelines with no steps in it, and then I'm going to work on adding the steps into the pipelines after. I've just built out the ticket that I'm going to work on to do that, and yeah, I'm living the dream. So I'm going to have a really freaking productive day today. I'm going to sort out a load of jobs around the house, do a load of work, watch Formula 1, best day. Maybe have a ice cold ginger beer while I watch Formula 1. Ooh, don't treat me like that, boy. I actually stayed up really late last night. I wasn't intending to, but I started playing a game called Inside. It's a really old game, but it was available on Xbox Live Gold thing. It was really good. And it was one of them games where I'm like, I sense this is a short game, so I'm going to try and play it all in one sitting. And it wasn't as short as I thought. It hit like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I think I've got an entire level left, which might be an entire hour. I can't go to bed at 2. I got up this morning at about 7:30-ish. Roughly. So it's a good thing not to wake up at a different time. It's a good thing not to change your bedtime and wake up time at the weekend, because if you do, when you go back to work, you're more tired, because your body gets used to having more time to sleep at the weekend. That being said, when Laura's here, I'm not very good at that. So yeah. Anyway, let's fucking write some code, my boy. Also today, I need to render out some YouTube videos. I'm not sure how many. I know I've just emptied the camera. I'm not sure how many videos I've got in hand. I think I've got a few, so I should really get on top of that. Got mildly distracted there, setting up my models so that I can properly support versioning and whatnot. I need to put the washing out. There's no point getting up early to do the washing if I'm not going to put it out to dry early. An interesting predicament is with my automation test. I've just added a load of data to something that I was creating yesterday. So yesterday I basically set up the infrastructure to support templates. Today I've got the template configuration decided for how I'm going to roll the next thing. I've configured that now, extended the models and exposing it via the API on the microservice itself. I've now got to roll that into the API gateway. But anyway, having said that, it actually comes for free in the API gateway, but it doesn't. I've got to extend the GraphQL model. Interestingly though, my automation tests work by me dictating what's happening at the domain level and then having to equate what's happening at the API level, which is complicated. It's complicated to do it simply, I think, is the problem. And I'm like trying to go from a domain model, which is built for the domain, to an API model, not only an API model, which is obviously flattened down version of the domain model, but also one that's gone through a automatically generated API client, because that's how my automation tests work. My API puts up a Swagger definition, it then generates all of its clients and stuff. So the acceptance tests communicate with the microservice in the exact same way that the API gateway would. So I get weird quirks about having to equate an array of enums to an array of strings, which is just fiddly as fuck, to be quite frank. Washing is basically already dry. But yes, I've just got to extend the API model on that, and then we're sorted, and then we can build up a new REST endpoint, which is going to be a create method. And I need to validate based off of the template configuration. So it's interesting, it's good stuff, we're making progress. The problem with that kind of thing that I've just done is that you feel like there should be a simpler way. You feel like, oh, I might move my car actually, because there's a nice big spot outside the house. And my car's fucking miles away. You feel like there should be an easy way of doing this. And everything I write is just a hack. It just feels filthy, you know? My God, I braked for lunch around 1:30ish. Put Formula One on and it's just finished. It started at about 10, was it 10 past 2 it starts? It's just finished at 4:15. It was a fucking brilliant race. It's tiring. We're just watching it, let alone driving it. Right, let's sort out the washing and then get back to work, I reckon. Ah, no, never mind. Next door's lawnmowering. So I'll get it out, I'll get it in later when I'm doing dinner. I'm gonna save in the washing up as well for later too. Probably makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. Right, washing has been brought in, put all away, living the dream. I need to now do some work. I've got about an hour until, well, it's 5 to 5, sorry. And I need to get at least an hour done. So let's get some fucking work done, boys. I'm really struggling how to like roll this because like, what I effectively have is a field on an object that you need to have, but I need a step to initialize it so that I know what type it is. And it's just such a bizarre thing to basically say like add new, but you can't pass any data in. Well, I guess I could make it so that you can pass data in, so you can just initialize it off the bat with a load of shit in it. But it's like a weird. I had this problem when I was doing the one previously where I had like something with credentials. Like you need to pass me credentials, but I need to. Was it the credentials? I needed you to initialize what type of credentials you wanted to save before I could then validate whether or not like. Was that the case in that case? I know previously when I did this, you could add something, but then once you've added it, you can edit that thing, but it's types locked. In this scenario, you can edit what you've created, but you can't overwrite it without deliberately deleting it. But really, what you can edit, effectively, what I'm doing is I'm just building the most strict version of this object. Its base type is actually a really customized one, which eventually I want to expose, but I don't need to do that yet. Because I don't need to develop for that amount of customization. You know? Just do it, Jamie. Just do it. We can change it. Everything I'm deliberately making choices so that I can change them. This is one of those choices that I can change without a crazy amount of work, and it's a logical choice to start with now. So just do it. Right, okay. Yeah, I'm building out the controllers and whatnot now, and like my validation structure really works out. It's really starting to come into its own at this point because I'm trying to design the API without creating separate URLs for each different type, and that's kind of what I went down with the credential route. And I feel like it fits there, but it doesn't really fit here. The problem is that I need to accept like quite a generic object. Like quite a flat object, obviously, on the API, and it could potentially, if it goes the way that I can see it potentially going, which I'm not going to do yet, but it could potentially grow to be quite big. And I'm like, how can I do the validation at this point? And the trick is, don't. Because I can do validation at the domain level, I can basically do 3 tiers of validation, anywhere from knowing very bare basic information to knowing a little bit more information, to being quite specific to the type that you're working on, and then on the actual, like your data, at that point I can pull database and then I can map my validation areas out and start working back up the chain. And that is going to work out for me, I think. It's going to really pay fucking dividends here, boys, that's for certain. What I'm currently doing is trying to build out enough of a, enough of the infrastructure so I can add my automation tests, and then once I've got my automation tests, I'll add one for what happens if you are trying to operate on a repository that you don't own, what happens if you try and operate on one that you do own but it's in an invalid state. This is one of those scenarios where there's multiple things that I can drive out. It's gonna be great, man. I'm looking forward to this. My days, but I just need to get to the point where I can write the acceptance tests, and then I can start building it out, and then I'll have red all the way through to green. But yeah, I've built the domain bit I've built all the stuff I need in the domain, including the repository stuff, and now I've just go all the way back up to the top, sort the API out, and then just glue it in the middle, injecting a load of validators and whatnot to make sure I'm happy. But it's 8:15. It's 6:15 even. It's time for some food. Was there something I wanted to do? I was just thinking to myself, I need to transfer. Is it worth me trying to do a bit of work while I'm cooking dinner? I mean, I've got to mash some potatoes, so that's a little bit more work than normal. I've got to transfer all the code, which means having to check it all in, push it up, and then when I want to swap back, I've got to check it back out again. Remote desktop, boys. Oh yeah. And that means I can, if I'm ever in a scenario where I need Atlas's grunt, I can do it on my laptop as long as I'm in the house. I'm alright about that. Oh my god! Let's get some food cooker looking. In fact, let's just pause my timer, and then we'll get on to cooking some mash. Christ knows why I thought it was a good idea to have pie and mash. I could have had pie and chips, but I was having chicken and chips on Friday. And I thought, you can't have two sets of chips, that's pretty lazy. But pie and mash, there is no difference in the amount of washing up between cooking it for one and cooking it for two. God frickin' damn, man, I was washing up for two. Otherwise, your boy is coming back in here for another fucking session, working hard. I'm not sure how much time we've got so far on the clock. 4 hours, 45 minutes. So we're going to cruise past 6 hours. The question is, how late we stay up working tonight, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? I do kind of want to finish that game, so we'll see. But we could probably work to 11 though. Props. We'll see how it goes. I'm trying to figure out. I think I might have to ask my tester friend tomorrow how I'd go about testing security stuff. So, for example, let's paint this. Let's rubber duck this to you, the audience. What I have role-based authentication. So each user lives within a specific role. At the moment, there's only one role. It's administrator. It's me. Basically, they have a certain bit of information about them. But the stamp that the security service puts on them is a role, and that role is then transformed into claims when it reaches individual microservices. So that means that the security service doesn't need to know what an administrator is allowed to do in this microservice or that microservice, or what a reporting user is allowed to do in this service and this service. It doesn't have to be updated if that ever changes. All it does is go, this is an admin, you're responsible now for setting the claims responsibly. So there's kind of two things going on there. There's role-based and then there's claim-based. So each individual controller is defended by a claim, but the users log in as a role. So I guess my question is, would you test that if you have a specific claim, you can do it rather than so here's the these are more acceptance test levels. The acceptance criteria is administrating users are able to do this, reporting users are able to do this. You would write an affirmative test to prove that it can, and then everyone else can't. I think that's relatively trivial. But would you write, if you've got this kind of weird test that I have, which is kind of in the middle, it's not really in the middle, I'm answering my own question, is would you create a user that only has that one claim and see if they can do it? No, because that's blurring the line between a unit test and an acceptance test. These are acceptance tests that are testing business requirements. The business requirement is that a user within a specific group or role can do this thing. And therefore, I could theoretically define another group that it doesn't live in, and at the moment I don't have that group. So the only thing I can do at the moment is unauthorized. And I could guess do no role at all. But having no role at all is an authentication issue. You have to for the security service, otherwise it's a requirement, so it wouldn't not do that. Have I answered my own question? I think I've stepped back from doing authenticated, and I might just roll with doing nothing but authenticated users within the admin group. And then later, when I add in more groups, I can retrospectively add in more roles, and then I'll do testing from a role basis rather than a claim basis. Because at the end of the day, a user of the platform doesn't know about that claim, and therefore I shouldn't write a test that defines that that claim must be used Yeah. Okay, so fixed it. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Testing that you are... What I was doing there was falling into the trap of testing that you can't do something. And there's an infinite number of ways that you can't do something, and only one way that you can. So there's one way that I can log in as an admin and do this thing. But what if I had this claim? 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 All of the other claims except for this one. The problem there is it's inferring that I have knowledge of the claims, and I don't. I shouldn't. Only the microservice knows what the claims are. All I care about is, as a user, can I do that? Thanks for answering my question, guys. I think the problem is I'm trying to run before I can walk a bit here, and I'm trying to do legitimate TDD, write the tests first, before doing what is effectively a user story, which is big. And I need to iron it down more and write all the cases I want to make sure work. I think I need to take it steady, walk before I can run, and write the tests I want to write, implement it, then write the tests, and then get into the swing of how I'm doing it, make sure I'm getting all the tests right, and then I can start implementing it first once I've kind of built up the microservice a little bit more, instead of trying to hit this basically non-existent microservice with a suite of tests. The dream is I can write the suite of tests first, but I feel like I need a microservice to hit, right? I need at least something to work with before I can start going crazy with the new stuff. But right, Jeremy, stop fucking around with automation tests. Add some business value, you dick. I've got to stop letting myself think that working 6 hours isn't enough. I'm like beating myself up for losing traction and like losing drive. But I've done nearly 6.5 hours worth of work. Yes, the last half an hour or so hasn't really been that productive because I'm thinking about this. But I start to like beat myself up for not working all the time. And that's going to really hurt me when I have nothing to do but work. But 6 hours straight development is more than I do at work. You know? I was going to say, before my GoPro froze on me and then didn't record the last 2 clips, I had to go to the computer to delete them, and hopefully this clip stays. For you? That I feel like I've been struggling with motivation a little bit recently. I think specifically this weekend. I think, to be honest with you, I always massively overestimate how productive a weekend without Laura is. Like, at the end of the day, it's only because she's not here. Things that normally get done that we split in half, I do all of it. So I don't actually get more time, really. I mean, I get like all evening and all day without us having to go out somewhere. Like, compared to a day where Laura's working at home at university, on university work, it's about the same as that. Well, it's about 2 hours more than that. And that hardly ever happens. So 6 hours is really freaking good. But then I beat myself up because I'm like, oh shit, yeah, we're gonna get 10 hours of work done. Like, obviously fucking not. Yeah, I think I've been struggling. I think I've had a lot on my mind recently. Like, a lot of things I need to do. I got out of the habit of chipping through my to-do list. I've even got out of the habit of doing the things that are like fucking deleting my emails. That's weird. That's a weird thing to fall out of the habit of, since how fucking trivial it is. There are like things based on emails I need to follow up, and not follow up, but like check on. And I'm delaying them in my to-do list app. I feel like I'm hiding from stuff. And that means that I'm like spending a certain amount of brain power thinking about the thing that I'm hiding from, thinking about how I'm thinking about hiding from it. I'm thinking about hiding from it. There's a lot of thinking there. And then like using the rest of it for my everyday life and then development. And I should be spending it on the stuff I'm supposed to be thinking of and other Variance related stuff, which either falls into that or doesn't. Because I'm deliberately not thinking about it at all, not thinking about it, you know? I told you at the start of this weekend that a weekend without Laura is a weekend where I go bloody mental. I'm losing the plot, guys. Anyway, I'm going to carry on watching 13 Reasons Why, Series 2, which is like one of the few things that like I'm watching that Laura doesn't watch. I'm going to carry on watching that, I'm going to have a cup of tea, and I'm going to play the rest of that inside game. That's what my plan is, I think. Oh yeah. That was quite an interesting game. It's like... It's free on Xbox Live. So if you've got Xbox Live, go and get it. Have a little play. Well, I assume it's still free by the time I upload this video. That's really interesting. It's like about 3-4 hours long. And there's like no dialogue. And it's a bit fucking creepy at times. I don't know whether that was because I was playing at midnight and it was dark. And there's a couple of like creepy bits which you're like, just leave me fucking alone. I don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, it's not like a horror game or anything. It's just like tense, you know, tense. Anyway, I'm gonna head off to bed. I've got work tomorrow. And it's late, 11:30. I'm actually quite tired, to be honest with you, which is good because I've struggled to get to sleep recently. I'm not sure how, but I'm actually on time this morning. I'm like, well, on time / early, depending on how you look at it. Laura isn't back in Bristol until this evening, so I had all the normal jobs to do on a Monday, which is more than usual. I had a shave, had to put the bins out, had to sort out all the bins, do all the washing up, get dinner ready, open the house up. Half these things Laura does. So, like everything, obviously Laura's got to get ready for work and whatnot, but she gets everything done. She's got half an hour longer in the house than I do. So she's just more stuff in general. Although we alternate between having a shave and washing up, basically because I don't shave every day. So days I don't shave, I wash up. But yeah, somehow I'm on time. And I didn't get up particularly early. I just kind of did it all, you know, just chipped through. But I'm impressed. I'm especially impressed with getting dinner out because that is something I never remember to do. And you know, I'm walking through this fucking fences. Give me a fucking seizure, Jesus. So Laura comes back, and then she spots this in the mantelpiece. Can you see it yet? Can you see? I'm pointing directly at it. So here is what looks like fucking GoPros, man. It's some kind of like rotten apple or something. There's some fucking dumbass bird has just dropped down a chimney at some point in the past, what, couple of weeks?
I don't think I've been here. I don't think I'd have noticed it.
I wouldn't have noticed it, so.
I don't know why I noticed it now.
Because there's like a load of rocks and shit on that. Anyway, let's clean that up. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end this video. We are about to head off to bed. I've had so many late nights this week that I'm like knackered. But I've just finished watching Good Omens on La Telly. It's good stuff. Really enjoyed it. If you've not watched it, watch it. I like things that are just different, you know, and that's just really different. So really enjoyed it. Otherwise, I need to put my laptop on charge because I need it. I'm just going to take my charger though. I'll probably just take my charger. Work today was pretty boring. I think tomorrow is going to be pretty boring as well because we're going live. How many days are there in this month? Okay, no. We're going live with the project we've just been doing, so tomorrow is going to be really dead, work-wise. I just thought that we're going live with that and something else is happening of the last day of the month, but that's Wednesday, not tomorrow. Because if it would have been tomorrow, that is asking for punishment. But no, we're okay. Otherwise though, ladies and gentlemen, I have tidied up. I've been doing a bit of work on my project, driving forward on the story that I've just done. I ticked off a piece of technical debt, a bug that I spotted where if I tried to access a microservice as a user role that it didn't recognize, it threw an exception. And obviously, most likely it's going to be forbidden. So I fixed that up. I fixed that up because I needed it for my automation test. I spoke to my tester friends at work and they were like, after a bit of explaining to the person who sits next to me and then talked to the automation guy, he was like, yeah, you just do it roles, mate. So I've now got, for my tests, I've got the ability to ask for the user type. And I have admin undefined, so you're not a user at all. You're just you're not even logged in, and unrecognized. And that unrecognized is a group that I've created in the automation test land, which the microservice definitely doesn't recognize because why would I have a group called unrecognized? Problemo solved. But yeah, otherwise, Laura's back. I need to charge the battery on this. And I'm going to end it here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thanks for keeping me company on my wild weekend. I'll catch you later.